Hello, listeners. Thank you for staying with us. I'm here again as your host in Kang and Tongawa. But today we have a caller that was born in Nigeria but came to the United States for college. She's gone through the whole undergraduate process and is now in grad school. So join me in listening to her story and letting her tell you what her life was like. Listen up.
Hello.
Hello?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Okay, so can you hear me perfectly?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you
Hello.
now. But is everything good on your end?
Okay. Yes, everything seems good.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. I'm fine.
Thanks for doing this. I know you're busy, so I appreciate you for taking the time out.
No problem. It sounded interesting, so I was definitely interested in participating.
Perfect. Okay, so welcome to This New World podcast, an open platform for immigrants and current citizens to speak on how life is and what things such as the various actions or routes they follow to stay motivated. Thank you for joining us today. So let's get straight into it. Where are you from?
Hi, my name is Marie. I'm from Lagos, Nigeria. I was born and raised in Lagos, but my family has origins all over Nigeria, honestly. My dad is from Delta State and my mom is from Kogi State, so I'm kind of a mix, but I'm a Lagos girl at heart.
Okay. So wait, where's Nigeria again?
So Nigeria is located in West Africa. If you know what Africa looks like, it's kind of in the armpit of Africa, so right there on the coast.
Okay. And you stated that you were from Lagos. Is Lagos the major city in Nigeria?
Yes, so like a lot of West African countries, our major cities are along the coast. So Lagos is like the economic capital of Nigeria, honestly.
Oh, wow. So so you grew up in Nigeria then, right?
I did. I was born and raised there.
Okay, how was life in Nigeria when you were growing up?
Life was good. I come from a it's not huge, but we're a mid-sized family. I have three siblings, so there's four of us. Grew up with my mom and my dad and my three brothers. We moved around a lot, as you know how Lagos is. If you guys out there know how Lagos is, people change jobs, people move around. So I think I grew up in so Lagos has the mainland and the island. So my first years of life was spent on the mainland, sorry. I lived in Akoka with my family. My parents went to Unilag. My mom would go to Unilag with us in tow.
So
Then we ended up.
how far are these are all these different areas or cities in Lagos, or is it a different part of Nigeria?
So in Lagos, Lagos is mainly divided into the mainland and the island. Lagos states, I believe. So the mainland is places like Surulere, Akoka, Bagada. Those are, I think, when you live in Lagos, they're just, I guess, yeah, get a different vibe. I don't know, but these are all in Lagos states. But like Nigeria has 36 states, so it's really 37. Yes, 36, and then a federal capital territory, so 37 total.
Okay.
So Nigeria is really big. We have over 200 ethnic groups spread across the country, almost
Wow.
200 million people. So a very large, very diverse country.
Okay, so you say you moved around a lot when you were younger. Did
Yes.
you notice what was going on, or were you just like, okay, we're moving again, sure, whatever? Like, how did you deal with that? Because you're switching from different schools, right?
Yeah, sorry. So the first time we moved was because my family was robbed at gunpoint. It was around Christmas period. If anybody knows anything about Lagos, sometimes it gets very hectic. A lot of crime happens around Christmas period. So we're actually robbed, and my dad was actually kidnapped and taken away with a new car that he just got. So that was a very obviously traumatic experience for my family. So we decided to move somewhere that we thought would be safer, into a larger, different community. And then after that, we moved around again. Our family was getting bigger. We needed more space. For me, moving was just like a part of my life. My dad was able to thankfully build a house in Lekki, and so that was our final move before leaving Nigeria. So we spent 6 to 7 years there. we really my parents had two more children, and then we settled in school. We're just, I guess, moving has always been part of me, and I think it's just made me very adaptable and a very I'm comfortable in transient situations really, and I can pack up my life in 30 minutes.
Okay. Okay, that's nice. So, how old were you when your dad got robbed at gunpoint? Do you remember?
So I think I was around, I want to say 6 or 7 years old. I know I was definitely under 10. It was just me and my brother, because there's my parents had us in two sets, so there were two of us. So I was definitely under 10. I think I was 6 or 7.
Wow.
So you can imagine a child, a 6-year-old girl being thrown out of a car with her brother and her mother, and then guns out of nowhere, and then next thing you know, your dad is gone. I just remember our entire because we lived in a compound at that point, so we had neighbors everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone I remember after they had gone, and we were oh, we're safe, okay, we can get help. Our entire compound was in our house, in our living room, praying with my mom. My mom was hysterical, but that's a very distinct memory that I don't think can ever leave me.
Oh my God, that's horrible, man. I'm sure, is that something that left you scarred? You had to, from when you saw that happen, you had to watch how you moved.
No,
And
definitely.
no.
I said definitely, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Christmas in Nigeria is always a tense time for me. When people say things kidnappings happen, robberies happen. My mom has also been in traffic one time during Christmas, and they smashed the side, the passenger side window to try and steal her bag and money and stuff like that. So I feel Christmas is always a very tense time where you're always hyper alert. You just and we never really went back to where we used to live when that happened, and I can honestly understand why.
Yeah, definitely. Because if you went back, those same people that came after your dad might, just come again.
Right, it's how, and my dad is really funny. I always say this, but my dad has never bought another black car since then. I remember I was asking my mom why does daddy always have silver cars? Why daddy's cars always silver? And she was like, don't you remember when his car was stolen? He refuses to buy another black car because of that incident.
Well, you can't blame him, can you?
Exactly.
Okay. So I guess what's the school system like? Is it, because in America there's elementary school, there's middle school, then you go to high school, then after high school you go to college.
Yeah.
Is it different in Nigeria?
So I think the general structure is the same. So Nigeria usually starts off I think people just throw their children out of the house as soon as they can walk. So by 3,
Wow.
they are starting in creche or nursery school. You do that for a couple years, and then by the time you're 6 years old, you just grad into I think that's primary 1. So we have our nursery school, then we have primary school. So primary school is grades 1 through 6. And then once you graduate from primary school, grade 6, you take a lot of qualifying exams. I don't remember what they're called, but you sit for exams, entrance exams for a lot of secondary schools that you want to go to. When you get into secondary school, then you move on. Secondary school lasts for 6 years. So GS1 and then through SS3. So it's also broken up into 2 portions, which is really similar to the middle school, high school thing that we have here in the US. So you go through GS1 to GS3. In GS3 again, you are writing another set of exams. They're called Junior WAEC. So the WAEC is a unilateral examination board that Nigeria uses to track educational milestones. It's kind of all the standardized testing that's done here. So once you pass I feel WAEC, Junior WAEC is literally never used for anything. You take it and you continue to SS1. It doesn't really have any, at least in my experience, I don't think it had any impact in my education. It was just oh, these people have come through GS3. Let's see how they're doing.
Really?
So
I would sorry, go ahead.
that's okay, because I really think so, because I don't remember doing anything with my junior WAEC results.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay, but weren't the tests are meant to measure how good of a student you are, right?
Yeah, basically tracking kind of how here they have all these educational tests that they take in elementary school and stuff like that. I think it's very similar to that concept.
Like the SAT and
Yeah,
stuff.
I feel it reminds me of a PSAT style thing where you take the test, but it's oh, this is basically to gauge where you're at, and it doesn't really affect your college entrance.
Oh, okay. As long as it doesn't, because
Yeah, it really doesn't. I think the most important thing, another thing in Nigeria, we had, so here in the US, you have semesters, but in Nigeria, we had like 3 terms. I don't know what the actual term is, but we had like 1, 2, 3, and then we'd have
when you
breaks.
say when you say 3 terms, you're referring to somebody that's in college, right?
So this is from junior school as well. So like in secondary school, you have, and I think also in primary school this applies. So this academic year is broken up into like 3 segments basically.
Mm-hmm.
So you start school in September, I believe, and you go until December. That's first term. Then the second term is usually from January after Christmas break, because Nigeria is very religious, so we take a long break for Christmas.
Amen.
So from January until usually it's March to April, around Easter. So we get another 3 weeks off during Easter break. And then after Easter, you start school again, usually like end of April, May, and then you get classes till, I want to say like August, July, like end of July usually. So yeah, those 3 segments.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so at what point are you, because I'm trying to understand from the standpoint of somebody that's in the United States, right? Like for us, for a high school senior in the United States, what's that compared to?
So a high school senior in the US is that you're in SS3. So that's like your 6th year of secondary school.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
are you taking a test to get into a college at that point?
Yeah, so there are actually a number of tests you can take in Nigeria. So there's something called NECO. There's something called WAEC. So you remember when we talked about the junior WAEC that you take in GS3? There's another one that you take in senior school. So that's your senior WAEC. And then, so those 2 again are like tracker tests, just to see how you're doing. You get your big WAEC results. I think WAEC is like West African wide, because when we were taking the test, there were parts that would be like, oh, this is for Ghana students only. This is for students from Benin Republic. This is for students from Togo. So you don't like fill in those portions of the test. And then you finish that year, your WAEC.
So it's an African-wide test. It's not necessarily just Nigeria.
Yes, West African wide.
Oh, just West African-wide.
Yeah, because I think WAEC stands for like West African, like education, something.
Okay.
Don't hold me to that. That's obviously more like it's West African wide.
Okay, we'll double check that. It's okay. All right. So you take the test and then you get a chance to go to college. I mean, from your standpoint, what did you do?
So the kicker is to get into university in Nigeria, you need to take another exam. So imagine you've taken your end of year like school, like your final 3rd term exams in school. You're taking NECO, maybe you're taking your WAEC. Then you now have to take another exam to get into university, to get admission to university. So if you wanted to go to university in Nigeria, you have to take something called the JAMB. And so when you take the JAMB, you decide what department or what degree you want to get. Say you want to do medicine, you want to do engineering, you want to study mathematics. Each like department has a grade cutoff. So kind of like the SATs. Like if you wanted to go to Harvard or something, I think on the new SAT, you would need to get something like a 1,500 out of 1,600, maybe something better than that. So in Nigeria, if you wanted to get into like medicine, I think medicine is probably the highest ranked one. I don't remember what the grading scale is, but I think it's over like 200 and something.
Which is correct though. It should be like that because you're dealing with someone's life.
Yeah, exactly. But like the fact that we are deciding these things at 18 years old, and it's just very thing to me.
Yeah, that's crazy because in the United States, you're going into college as a freshman because you know most individuals, they don't really know what they're doing, so it's kind of like you have courses you're taking just to like test the waters to see what you're interested in. Like what do they call it? General studies.
So I went to a liberal arts school, so it was like a liberal arts. You're testing the waters, seeing everything, taking all the random credits. We even had like credit requirements in every like different, like in social sciences, you have to take one in the sciences, you have to take like an art, just like to see and taste, like get a taste of everything.
So why did you choose liberal arts?
So I wanted a small school. I went to college when I was 16, so I'm young for everything. So I started school early and I skipped a grade in Nigeria.
Wow, so you must be smart.
Yeah, we try. So I skipped a grade in elementary school, so I've always been younger. And then when it was time to go to university, I told my parents that I didn't want to go to school in Nigeria. And thankfully my family had the means, and like I was lucky enough to be able to just go to school in America freely without worrying about like visas and everything like that. So like it
Wait,
was
how's that? Why wouldn't you have to worry about visas?
I'm actually a permanent resident of the United States. A few of my family members actually won the visa lottery in like the 80s. So my mom has a lot of family in the US, and they have been like my grandma has filed for citizenship and stuff for us. So like they've been able to bring my mom and her family into the US because of that.
Wait, oh, so your grandma was already a citizen of the U.S., and when you decided you wanted to go to school in the U.S., she filed for you to come here.
So she actually filed for us, I think, like right when we were born.
Wow, that's smart.
Yeah, once she got her, because the green card process, like if you're filing for a family member, once they do the application, it takes a long time, like a number of years for them to process and like for you to become a permanent resident. So for us, I think my grandma filed like in the early 2000s for us, and we didn't become citizens, or like we didn't get our permanent residency until 2011.
Okay, but I thought, don't you usually have to actually show up in the United States to go through interviews and do your fingerprints and things like that?
So we were doing that. So for as long as I can remember, we've been coming. We would come over to the U.S. for our summer holidays. So I think I don't remember any of that, but I'm sure in that period we were doing all those things.
Okay, that's good.
So yeah, very grateful and thankful because my parents made me take JAMB, even though we all knew I wasn't going to Nigerian university. So I have the painful experience of standing in line at Unilag to take. I'd never been to Unilag before. My mother just carried me, drove me in her car, dropped me off at like the exam center in Unilag, and was like, okay, figure it out.
Unilag is one of the cities.
So Unilag is the University of Lagos. So it's actually, I think, the biggest and like most prestigious university in Nigeria for most like concentrations, I guess. So like when you have a degree from Unilag in Nigeria, like it's the equivalent of like a very prestigious university. So yeah,
so it's equivalent to like a Brown University or Columbia.
Exactly. So like Unilag, I think Obafemi Awolowo, maybe like University of Nsukka, like they're like very big government funded schools in Nigeria, and like when you have degrees from there, they're the equivalent of having like degrees from Ivies or prestigious schools in the US.
Okay, understood. So it's unfortunate you had to go through that experience, but you knew you weren't going to school in Nigeria.
Exactly. So like my parents would force me. They were like, "You're taking JAMB, you're doing this. If you like, be playing around, you are going to go to Nigeria." But like we all knew that they were playing. So like I was looking back as like, okay, I'm.
Oh,
I think
you're muting out.
I have a lot of friends who never taken the JAMB.
Can you go back a little? And so you were muted.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. I don't know what's going on. But I was saying I am glad that I had the experience. I have a lot of friends who like have never had to do anything like that, and I think it's a very like vital part, like a very essential part of growing up in Nigeria and going through education and things like that. So even though I knew I wasn't going to stay and finish my schooling, like it was interesting to have that experience.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad you had a chance to actually have that experience. But I would like to say shout out to your grandma. She is smart. Like she already prepped her grandkids for success.
My grandma has 7 kids, and she has brought all of them to the US. So
ooh, amen.
The grandma, Auntie Pat.
Wow, that's nice. So which school did you decide to go to in the US?
So I decided to go to a little university in Ohio called Wittenberg University. Shout out, go Tigers! It's in Springfield, Ohio, and I don't think we even had up to 2,000 people enrolled in that school. So I decided to go to Wittenberg because my first choice school didn't give me any funding at all.
What was your first choice?
So my first choice school, I actually had 2 first choices, Colby College and then Kenyon College. So I always knew that I wanted a small university. I didn't want anything big at all. So I looked at a lot of the liberal arts schools in the US. So Kenyon is like either the like first or second ranked school in the US. And then Colby is also like a very highly ranked liberal arts university Colby is in Maine, and then Kenyon is in Ohio. So I thankfully got into both Colby and Kenyon, but like Kenyon was always my first choice. I was waitlisted for them for a while until like basically almost the last day to make a decision. And then when they finally got me off the waitlist and said you got in, they were like, okay, you got in, but we don't have any money for you. And if anybody knows anything about private education in the US, it's very expensive.
Right.
Schools are private schools. So I think Kenyon at that time was $65,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And they were basically telling me, we don't have any government grants to give you. We don't have any scholarships to give you. So you need to pay for that somehow for the first year at least. And then after the second year, you can reapply and, you know, try and get a scholarship or something. And that wasn't a financial option for my family at all. So I was like, okay, sad. I cried a little bit, but it was okay. I can't ask my father to pay $65,000 in 1 year because there are 4 of us. So
Right.
my mom was like, Mary, please, you're not the only one. You have 3 brothers. So just remember. So with Wittenberg, like they had the degree choice that I wanted. It was small. It was still like somewhere I was interested in living in. And then I got a lot of scholarships from them, thankfully. So it was a very good, like it was one of my best options financially, and also I could get, you know, the education I wanted.
Well, that's good. That's good. So when you came into the university, what age, like how old were you?
So I started school right after I graduated from secondary school. So I was 16. I just turned 16 in April.
Okay, so 16 years old, you're going into your first semester of college, you know,
Yep.
freshman year.
Freshman year, yep.
How was that? Because I'm sure you're you know, the majority of kids at the university were 18 and up, right?
Yeah. So for the first like year, I don't think I told anybody how old I was. I would just blend into situations because I feel like I look older than I am, and people always tell me that when they find out how old I am, they're like, no, you're not. Like, you don't act like that, which I don't know what you expect me to act like because we've had all of the same experiences basically. So what you expect from me. But I basically hid how old I was for a while because another thing I hear is like, oh my gosh, she must be so smart. Oh my gosh, this, that's that. But like, it's really like, no, in Nigeria, I took one test and they just catapulted me to the next stage. So I didn't really do anything. But it was an interesting experience. I went to a PWI, so liberal arts school in Ohio. I was one of maybe like 6 or 7 Black girls, maybe even Black. I don't think there were 20 in my graduating class. I don't think there were 20 Black people.
Wow.
So yeah, so that was very interesting. If you ask any of my friends, my first like 2 years in school, I really thought I was a white girl. I was doing a lot. Like I was really like, I was doing every single activity. If they had like, I don't like anything they had, I was out there. Like my school had like W days. I joined the choir. I was in all these clubs. I was going hiking. I went camping in the woods. I don't know who I thought I was or what I was doing, but
I mean, technically, you are participating in the social activities that, you know, college students in that area would do. You know.
That's the thing. Yeah, it was very much like, because I think for me, I was like, I'm in Ohio. My closest family members are in New Jersey, which is a 10-hour drive away. So like, I'm here full time. Like I don't have anybody around me. So like, these are the people I have around me, and right. I'm going to enjoy it.
I mean, I'm glad you did that, because I feel like if you weren't putting yourself out there to do all these different things, you would have probably been depressed. Because I've been to Ohio, and you know. Right. Yeah.
So the town my school was in had a Walmart, a Kroger, a Meijer. We had a Chipotle that we used to like. I don't think we even had Uber for the first like 2-3 years that I was there.
Oh, tragic.
Like my friends and I used to go to sushi get sushi every 2 weeks just because like it was just something else to do. So anyway, I became an RA my second year, so that took even more like financial burden off of my family, which was good. I had housing free in my school. Housing was free, which is nice, but it literally paid us like peanuts as a stipend. But
of course,
that's okay, you know, free college labor. And right. For me, you know, I graduated at 20, so for most of the time I was enforcing rules on people that were years older than me. So
did they ever find out how old you were?
People that knew me personally knew. But then most of the time, like I was in charge of a dorm of like hundreds of people at a time. So not really know. I just had to stand there and stare them in the face and put my Nigerian mother cloak on and just intimidate them until they listen to me.
Okay.
But I made it work. I joined a sorority. I joined Kappa Delta, so I'm a KD. My school didn't have any of the like African American sororities, so no like AKAs, nothing like that. So I found my social circles where I did.
So how was that sorority? Do you like it?
I liked it. I liked it a lot. For like, I think it was one of the better. It was a really good part of my like undergraduate experience for sure.
How so?
So, like I said, I'm a very social person. I don't like to sit still in a place for too long. I like to get to know people. So I had a lot of friends that were older than me, and in my like degree program and stuff, that were all like Kappa Deltas. So once I like started meeting new people, I just learned that I got along really well with like the girls in the sorority. Like I meet someone and be like, oh, I'm a KD, and I'm like, oh wow, like I know your sister who is this, and then also one day one of them invited me to come to a recruitment event. I met girls at the house and I really liked them. We all got along really well, so I ended up joining, and then I think it was a really good experience, honestly. My family was like, Mary, please, what's that? Is that sorority? Is that a cult? Is that a cult?
Yeah, of course.
So, my auntie, who like is on Facebook all the time, so like when I would post like sorority things on Facebook, she would be like, Mario, what is this again? What is this? Marie, is this one a cult?
Like you're giving your life away.
Like she's like, what are you people doing though? I hope you're not chanting and doing all those things. When I was initiated, it was so funny because it was really like their wildest expectations. Like, yes, anything you picture, this is it right now, but can't talk about that.
Okay, so how was the recruitment process? Was it hard or was it?
I don't think it was. So I recruited in the fall, and the fall is like the less like busy recruitment cycle. So usually I think we recruited 6 girls in my class, but then the spring is our big like recruitment cycle, because I think other schools like recruit right in the fall, which I don't really understand that, because nobody knows each other, so how are you recruiting people? Right. But our school recruits in the spring, so like at least freshmen and everybody have had a chance to be there for a whole fall semester. They've made friends, they kind of are getting a sense of where they fit in. And then it's like, okay, maybe you've met people like this already, so now you can go in and join their sisterhood.
Okay.
It was fun. I had my college days are very fun. I'm really glad I had that experience. But when I was ready to go, I was ready to go.
So what did you end up graduating with? Like, what was your degree?
I have a dual bachelor's degree in biochemistry and molecular biology, and then in philosophy.
Wow. What were your plans? Why did you decide to go towards that?
Like every Nigerian, I wanted to go to medical school right away. The biochemistry degree was like, that was my road to med school. And then about halfway through, I think it's my second year, we had one of these electives that my school made us take. I took I think it was like Mysteries of Self and Soul. And it was a class in the philosophy department. And I was sitting in this class like as a girl that was grown up. I'm Catholic, like I grew up in Catholic church. Like imagine a 16-year-old girl coming from Nigeria, which is very religious, and like all of the convictions that you can imagine about who I am and like what my faith is. And I was sitting in this class that was called Mysteries of Self and Soul. And from the beginning of the class to like the end, it basically was like how the Christian faith was like originated. It was ideas about like how humanity came about. We read Descartes, if anyone has ever read Descartes, and Descartes is a French philosopher who literally sat down at one point and was like, how do we come to know the things that we know? So he sat and he meditated for weeks at a time, and he attempted to just strip down to like the basis of what like he knows, and he was like, how did these things come about? And I was sitting in this class and learning how all these different people from centuries ago really have described knowledge and like beliefs and like who we are and like what our soul is. People think that like the soul is something hovering around you. Is the soul really connected to your body? As a Catholic girl who believes that the soul is like a separate entity in me that goes to heaven when I die, it was like very groundbreaking for me to be learning all these things. And after that class, I remember talking to my professor and being like, like sign me up for the next one. Like, what do I like? How do I get? How do I take the next class? How do I stay in this? Like, how do I do more of this? So I ended up adding on a philosophy minor, and then I did that for a while, and then I was like, I really really enjoy this, so I made it into a major.
Okay, that's good. That's good then. I'm glad you actually figured out something you were interested in and went towards it. So I guess when you graduated college,
Mhm.
what was your plan? What was next for you?
So I decided I wasn't going to go to med school. So I decided I was going to get a master's degree in public health, which is what I'm currently finishing up right now. I graduate in May 2020.
Woo!
Hey. So somewhere along my philosophy journey, I took a global health justice course, and like this was like going through like my med school applications and trying to figure out exactly where I wanted to go and how I wanted to do this. And I took this global health course. I feel like the classes I've taken have really shaped who I've become as a person, and it's very interesting to hear it back now. But I took this class, and I took this class in a like correction facility in Ohio. My professor, really, I love her, like one of my biggest and best mentors in life. But like in having conversations with my classmates and some of the inmates in the class as well, I just found a very huge passion for the things that we were talking about. Like I always knew I wanted to work in healthcare, and I always knew I wanted to be able to improve health in West Africa, where I come from.
Okay, so what kind of things were you guys talking about? Do you remember?
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about Dr. Paul Farmer. He I think he started off as an anthropologist and then a clinician, but he did a lot of work in Haiti. And during like the earthquakes, a lot of the disasters that he has a foundation. It's called Partners in Health. So reading about his work and his advocacy, we read a lot about so philosophy is a lot about like justice and a lot about lots of like theories basically, I guess. So there were a lot of human rights based theories for why the health of people should be prioritized. There were like ethics based theories. There were just like basically like common sense based theories. And like I guess in all of those threads, like I really found that these are things that I agreed with. Like at my core philosophy, like I resonated really strongly with it. So it was like I felt like a career in global health just felt like a better fit for my skills, honestly.
Okay, that's nice. So I know you stated that you would like to actually, take these skills you've acquired through college and help your country back home. But what other things do you plan on doing with, this degree?
So my degree, I'm getting a master's in public health, but my track is in epidemiology, and epidemiology is kind of like statistics, but like population-based statistics. So we can use that to track disease progressions. You can use it for surveillance. We build like predictive models. Like if you think of like to what degree something can change or something can have an impact, like why, like would, I don't know, I guess like would a certain increase in your sugar intake have an effect on the likelihood of you having like coronary heart failure in the future? So those are things that epidemiologists do. We look for like someone described this really well to me at one point. It's like imagine like like when TVs used to have antennas and you had to like move the antennas, try and find like a clear picture. So that noisy screen that you're seeing, you can kind of see the outlines of the picture in there. And an epidemiologist's job is basically to like clear through that noise and create the picture. So through the noise, we're looking for like what is actually true.
Okay.
Yes.
So have you heard of the issue that's currently going on in China? I think it's called the
coronavirus outbreak. Yes.
Yes. So as somebody that's going towards can you repeat that? Sorry.
Epidemiology.
Epidemiology, right? How are you like viewing that?
So I think one important aspect is like we saw how easily coronavirus came from like Asia to the US. Like it was within like weeks of the outbreak. And that is one of my like key one of the things I advocate so strongly for. Like global health is health. Like things that are happening are like in what people think of as like the developing world or the global east or the global south. Like those things affect all of us at all times. Like I can get to Thailand in 2 days. You know what I mean? And pathogens come with us. So as an epidemiologist, as oh my, I can't even say the word, as an epidemiologist or in training at this point, my friends and I have really been talking about this, and we've been worried that it seems like people aren't as concerned as we think they should be. A lot of my work and my interests are in like infectious disease prevention and just knowledge building. So some of the steps we take in preventing things like this is like educating people about how diseases spread and the likelihood of them being able to contract something like this. We're currently like conducting surveillance, like when the flu is coming up, like when it's flu season. This is why you take vaccines or you take the flu shots before the flu season starts, so that your body has a chance to develop immunity to the new flu strain that is going to likely be passed around that year. This is why people wear masks to prevent themselves from contracting the disease. This is why this is why. So one of the key problems was that Wuhan, the city where it's happening in, has been growing exponentially over the past few years and investing lots of money in a lot of like technological advancements, but they haven't been investing in their public health infrastructure.
Right.
So
public health, environmental.
Exactly. So that budget has remained very stagnant over the years. And I read an article recently that was like, it was very interesting because the author was like, the government had a very difficult decision between like the next super like chip or something like that and, you know, investing in public health. Like that was their huge decision to make. Like what chip is going to put them at the forefront of technological advancement in China versus how do they invest in public health programming and in health education in their city.
Isn't that crazy?
To me and to the people that I go to school with and work with every day, like that is literally that's the most basic tenet of like a government.
Right. How if your main focus is technological advancement, not to say there's anything wrong with it, you know, I'm all for it. I love how technology is advancing in this age. But if that's your main focus, how are you going to have consumers that, you know, are well enough to actually use it, you know?
Yeah. One of the biggest reasons that diseases like this spread, like Ebola, for example, one of the biggest reasons like things like this happen. So, and it seems like it's like because people ask like, how could we have prevented this? Like, how could we have stopped this from happening? What could we have done? And it's simply like investing in healthcare and investing in, because you're investing in people's lives, and it shouldn't take. With Ebola, one thing that happened was that people that were on the ground and working, the MSF, so Medicine Sans Frontier or Doctors Without Borders, they have doctors that are all over the world, and they do incredible work. And they had warned all these organizations and governments that, listen, Ebola is spreading rapidly. Like, this is what we need. You need to declare a state of emergency. You need to start channeling funds towards like dealing with this outbreak. But like the world is so bureaucratic, and I feel like the focus is not where it needs to be. That like it really wasn't taken as seriously as it should have been, and Ebola like did not have to be as devastating as it was. And this is exactly what we're seeing with coronavirus. Like, it really did not have to be as devastating as it is right now. There's another case in Chicago a few days ago. Chicago is much closer than Seattle to New York, and to like this, that it literally has gone hundreds of thousands of miles, or like thousands of miles across the US in days. And it's an airborne disease, and America is very large. So yeah, that's my public health rant for the day.
Yeah, I'm glad we actually spoke about that, because you know I've been reading up on the epidemic, because I think right now China has put out for a state of emergency. I think
the whole city is under quarantine. Right,
which is to me, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm just, you know, overthinking it, but I honestly feel like there's something that we don't know yet about this virus.
I've heard that take a lot, and people are like, the fact that a whole city is under quarantine, then like this has to be bigger than what it is. And that's the thing. So in public health, quarantine is like your last ditch resort. Like, you don't instate a quarantine until like you've literally like run out of options. And the fact that they have, you know, declared, like, created a state of quarantine, then that is very concerning. And it's like, I don't know, I don't want to make it sound like a conspiracy theory or anything like that, but it's very like just the word quarantine incites fear, and it has been used to oppress and target people for centuries. So that's why we
Right.
avoid it, and that's why we don't that's why we don't do things like that.
Right.
There's a lot of steps that you take before getting to quarantine. You want to control, you want to contact trace and figure out who people have been in contact with. But the fact that they went, and did you also read that they are attempting to build a hospital to be able to create capacity for all the patients in like 6 days? They tried to build a hospital in 6 days.
Wow.
That just
That's a lot
that's
of labor.
the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard in my life. And I have my friend said she had read an article that they were using like parts of other hospitals, like materials that are available. They're using like reinforced, like, and it's just like I can't imagine how you create labor to build a hospital in 6 days, and like what kind of structure is that going to be? Who is there? Just there's so many questions, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we get more information on that aspect. But
Yeah.
yeah. So you're trying to be an epidemiologist, right? I said
Yeah.
that right?
Yes.
Hey, have my stamp for the day. Okay. Um. All right. So you graduate soon. Where did you end up doing your master's? Is it at the same school or you moved?
So I moved back to the East Coast. I left the Midwest after I graduated college. I'm actually at Columbia University right now in New York City,
Mm-hmm.
much closer to my family. I've been here since I graduated in 2018. And yeah, I live in Harlem. So very nice, lovely area.
All right. Like the switch between Ohio and New York. Talk about it. Talk about it. How did it make you feel?
It's so great. I remember when I was saying I was leaving, I was looking at other schools because I applied to a bunch of different schools because really I didn't think I was going to get into Columbia. I was like, I have good grades. Yes, I was trying to go to med school, so I needed to have good grades in undergrad. But I was like, are my grades Columbia worthy? Am I Columbia worthy? But I ended up getting in, and as soon as I got in, like I didn't even care what else I got in. I was like, sorry, I'm going to Columbia. I'm living in New York. So I'm going from Springfield, Ohio, to like New York City it has been honestly the best thing for me. Honestly, like I am thriving in this environment. I love it. Like I grew up in Lagos. I love hectic, chaotic, energetic cities, and this is exactly what it is. My family has been in New Jersey for a few years, so New York isn't like foreign to me. It's really familiar. My cousins like worked here in the city. I have a lot of family in the area. I've developed really, really good friendships with people in school, people all over the city. I don't know, it's just, I thrive. I really thrive in New York.
That's good. That's good. Sounds
Yeah.
like you found your second home.
Yes, I really did. I'm not trying to leave either. My mom keeps,
Oh.
oh yeah, when you graduate, you'll come move back. I'm like, move back to where?
She's like, I'm gone. Bye.
Stay here. Sorry. You guys get
Okay.
holidays.
Okay. That's good though. I mean, it's always good to go back for the holidays. I mean, at this point, it's your life, so you have to make the best decision.
Exactly.
Okay. So we're kind of going over time, but
Mhm.
I guess, do you have any advice you would give to anybody that's just come into the United States, or somebody that's trying to like go after a goal?
Like in our age group, or
Like anybody in general. I'm sure it really doesn't. Yeah.
yeah. I guess my experiences would really like hone towards someone that's coming to school and like an early career individual. Like I think it's hard, like especially in this climate, coming to the US for the first time is difficult. I have been very lucky. I've had incredible support throughout. So for me, I speak from a very like a place of a lot of privilege. So I don't know what my experience would be able to contribute to someone who's coming in a different situation. But I really think that if you're deciding to come to school or you're deciding to maybe start a career, I really hope that like a priority for you is finding something that you actually enjoy. I know lots of people that come to the US is really like a survival tactic, really. But like things things get easier, and like things are hard in the first place, but things do get easier. And I don't know, there are lots of opportunities, but again, like find people to help you navigate through situations. Like there are people out there that are going to be helpful. They're always I'm a huge advocate of social services. Like there are structures that the government has put in place to help and to support people and support individuals. You can find support anywhere. So always look out for support. Connect with other Nigerians or other people. If you're African, connect with other Africans. It's essential. This country is trying to kill us, but but we're fighting and we're pulling through. And yeah, just I don't know, make of it what you want.
Amen. I like that. I'm glad you said that, because I think some individuals kind of refrain from communicating with other people.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Maybe it's shyness. Maybe it's just...
No, I think Nigerian culture is repression, like in a nutshell. It has taken growth to come to the point where I'm comfortable asking for help and like saying that I'm not okay, because I don't think a lot of us had opportunities to express ourselves. I talk about this all the time with my Nigerian friends. Like, if you are not doing something well, it's because like it's your own fault. You know what I mean? Like, it's never an external thing. If you are upset, why are you upset? Or people have it harder than you have it, so there's no reason for you to be upset. You are walking, you are eating, you can drive. Why are you upset? You know, it's okay. Like, it's okay, and people have been where you're at. A lot of people come to school and they're in this environment for the first time. I have friends who had started going through a lot, and people developed depression. People started having lots of mental health problems that they didn't have when they were back home. And that's a very another passion, or pet passion for me too, is advocating for mental health in immigrant communities.
That's good. I'm glad you said that, because I don't think it's really spoken about often, because I'm speaking from a standpoint of what I'm used to and what I've seen, right? I was born in Cameroon, but I think Africans in general have an issue when it comes to expressing their feelings and how they feel about certain things.
Oh, absolutely.
So
yeah, we don't give ourselves room. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I agree with you that is actually something that needs to be broken down.
Yeah, no, definitely. We don't give ourselves room to just be. I think in Lagos, people that are my age and going through it now, they're you're waking up at 4 a.m. to get up and go to work. You are at a certain age where you feel like you should be independent and doing your own thing, but you can't afford to live in a house by yourself. And a lot of us come here and it's the same thing, and you thought it would be better, but it's no. The economy has been ruined for us. We're immigrant acclimation is very difficult and it's very hard, especially when the older you are when you come here, the older it is to adjust to a entirely new environment. So
the harder it is.
My parents, and I see the way, because my parents are in their 40s and 50s. It's not I came here at 16. My brain was still soft and growing, so I've been able to acclimate better than they have. They still have the same opinions they had when they were older, when they were in Nigeria, and I feel like I'm constantly teaching them and being no, you can't say that in public. No, if somebody says something like that, you should actually listen to them. They are expressing themselves. Or mommy, we should talk about this. You're upset at me. Let's talk. You can't just be angry at me and you can't sleep. Let's talk.
Parents always have that notion that you're a child. Anything you say is just whatever.
Exactly, but that's not true. I'm an adult. We can have a conversation. Let's talk through it, and to be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah. True. So yeah, that's protect your mental health.
Amen. I like that. I think that's what I'll call it. This episode, protect your mental health.
That's good.
But thanks a lot for doing this. I appreciate you for taking the time out to actually get on the call with us. I'm sure our listeners will listen to this and take a lot of key aspects as a positive notion going forward.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, thanks for joining. Hopefully we can get you back on a call down the line when you are an official epidemiologist.
Yeah, when I'm a practicing epidemiologist in New York City.
Hey,
we'll talk more about, we could talk about job search, about navigating all these things. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me and for creating this platform. I think resources are here and there for immigrant communities, and it's really important, especially as African immigrants. We're here and we're present, and we need spaces like this to talk. So thank you for doing this.
Definitely. All right, you have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.